Today we'll be talking about local anesthetics. Okay, we are done with general and pre-anesthetics. Today we'll be doing local anesthetics. So, as the name suggests, local anesthetics are basically those drugs that are given to uh, induce a local anesthesia, wherein a small portion of your body is anesthetized. More often than not, this will not involve a patient losing their consciousness. You, while giving a local anesthetic, your goal is not to make the patient lose consciousness. It is merely to create analgesia and senselessness in a particular part. So, if someone is performing a small surgery or suturing or something of that sort near, let's suppose, their arm, forearm or something, so you'll give a local anesthetic around there, and what do you call, you perform the procedure, whatever that you are performing. How local anesthetics work? All local anesthetics work by the same mechanism. All right, they block nerve conduction. Local nerve conduction is blocked. How that happens is, so one second, let me write it in a different color. Mechanism of action, it will go this way. So your local anesthetic, a very common local anesthetics that is used is lignocaine or lidocaine. Okay, both of them are the same thing. Okay, most local anesthetics, almost all local anesthetics will end with cane. Okay, very few do not, but most of them will end with cane. So that is one way you can discern between local and general anesthetics, not to get confused. Right. So if you are giving lignocaine, this will block nerve conduction by blocking sodium channel in the neuron. Now, in impulse transmission, whenever what do you call, there is now normally outside your cell there is more amount of sodium, and inside your cell there is less amount of sodium. During nerve impulse transmission, what will happen is sodium will try to get in. Right. During that period of time, basically, what will happen is, if you are blocking sodium transmission, if you're not allowing ions to move across, if you're not allowing sodium to move across the membrane of the neuron, entry of sodium will be blocked. Okay, so this blocks sodium channel, which in turn causes mm, entry of sodium into the neuron. If there is no sodium coming into the neuron, there is no impulse conduction. Okay, generation will not occur, impulse generation neither will. Right. So this basically causes no generation and conduction of action potential. I would suggest before reading this mechanism of action, if you are having confusion, go over your physiology once. Read what is impulse conduction, how impulse conduction occurs step by step, right? How threshold potential is achieved, what is depolarization, what is repolarization, what is hyperpolarization. It will become easier for you to understand what ions are going out and what ions are coming in. Why sodium, why influx of sodium is important, right? So this is block. Now, one second. So entry of sodium into the neuron, right? So this is the mechanism of action for all local anesthetics. All of them will work the same way, and because there is no generation of action potential, what happens is, in that area, now for you to feel pain or for you to feel anything, you need action potentials to be generated. Let's suppose you take your finger and start pressing on your hand. Okay, to feel that pressure of your finger, you need action potential, you need impulses to be transmitted to your brain, and for you to feel that pressure. right? If I am creating a situation where there is no conduction of action potential, even if you press using your finger, your body will not be able to feel anything. All right. The same way, when you're performing a local surgery of some sort or local procedure, and you are administering a local anesthetic, you will not be able to feel anything in that area. All right. Another thing is, if you are trying to prolong the effect of local anesthetic, what I can do is, let's suppose this is someone's arm. Okay, for example, let's suppose this is someone's arm, and someone is applying local anesthetic here, surface anesthetic apply कर रहे हैं समझो, ठीक है, to this area. Have you guys ever performed a procedure where you are applying local anesthetic, or in the presence of a procedure where they were applying local anesthetic intravenously or surface? हॉस्पिटल में
Yes,
कभी
sir.
करें, करें, ओके. तो लेट्स सपोज यू आर यूजिंग अ surface anesthetic, surface local anesthetic, where you are what you call rubbing it in. Okay, you are rubbing lignocaine solution, let's suppose, ठीक है, lignocaine, lidocaine, whatever, propavacaine, you have several, we'll go over the classification. Now in this area, what will happen is there is no um, impulse being transmitted. So I'll put it here like this. Okay. So in this much area, there is no impulse being transmitted, and this complete area has become senseless in a way. All right. You cannot feel anything here. Now, if I want to increase the duration of this, let's suppose if I just apply this and it is working for 1 hour, let's suppose. Okay, local anesthetics are generally shorter in duration than general anesthetics. Okay, much, much shorter. If I want to increase this to, let's suppose, 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, let's suppose I want to increase it to 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, what I can do is I can locally give adrenaline or norepinephrine. What will happen is, with adrenaline or norepinephrine, vasoconstriction will occur. You can also give phenylephrine. Either way, what will happen is your nearby blood vessels, they will constrict. Okay, when you are giving nearby vasoconstriction like this, okay, this fellow, whenever you're applying the drug, that drug will have no channel to get away from that position. Okay, normally whenever I'm applying drug in one particular area, obviously the drug will get absorbed inside my body, it will enter systemic circulation, and it will start, see, I want the drug only to be present in this location, right? I do not want it to move here and there. So if I'm simply slowing down the movement of that drug from that position, what will happen is I will get senselessness, or I will get anesthetic effect here for a longer period of time. That, I hope you understand the logic. I'll repeat once again. Initially I'm applying the local anesthetic here. All right, so I am having a small area where what do you call, this area is anesthetized, this area of your hand is anesthetized, and let's suppose it is working for 1 hour, the dose that you have given. Now if you want to prolong this duration without giving more amount of anesthetic, or without applying any more anesthetic, you want to prolong its effect, you want to make sure it works for a longer period of time, what you can do is you can apply, or you can inject a little bit of adrenaline or norepinephrine in the nearby blood vessel. What will happen is, normally whenever you give a drug, it will get absorbed inside, and it will slowly start getting distributed in your blood, and ultimately it will get eliminated. Now if you are performing vasoconstriction by giving adrenaline, obviously vasoconstriction will occur, adrenaline has that effect. If there is vasoconstriction, this drug will not be able to escape out. Okay, basically what will happen is the duration for which the drug will work will prolong. All right, that is one trick you can use instead of increasing the dose for a longer period of time. I hope you understood the logic behind this. All right. Another thing it will do is, because absorption becomes slow, there is the chances of systemic toxicity will also decrease. Okay, as it gets absorbed, it will get metabolized. There is no chance for it to get accumulated in your body. So if you slow down the vertical absorption of the drug by giving adrenaline, so see, by slowing down absorption, I mean absorption into the rest of the body. Okay, if it is not getting absorbed in the rest of the body and staying in that position, generally systemic toxicity will not occur. Or let's suppose the chance of systemic toxicity occurring will be lower. Okay, now coming to classification. One second. Classification के बाद I'll do this thing. Um, Coming to classification, your local anesthetics are classified into uh, two ways. Okay, two major ways. One is injectable, and the other is surface local anesthetics. Okay, surface local anesthetics. I'll just write it as LA. Okay, in your injectable, you have three categories again. So you will have short acting or low potency. They will act for a short period of time, and they are not very potent. Okay, for very small minor procedures they can be used. This will include your procaine and chloroprocaine. Okay, then see, bear in mind all of these drugs will work by the same way. Okay, by blocking sodium channel, it will not allow conduction to occur. So mechanism of action will not change for any of the drugs. Intermediate acting or intermediate potency. This will have lignocaine and prilocaine. Okay, then there is long acting. Long acting matlab it will not go all the way up to general anesthetic level, but it will be longer than normal. All right, or high potency, a couple of hours. So these will include tetracaine. Tetracaine is a newer drug. Okay, tetracaine, bupivacaine, ropivacaine, all of these. All right, these are injectable, pretty much standard. Right, you inject the drug inside. Surface anesthetics will be divided into soluble and insoluble agents. Okay, so soluble agents will be lignocaine. See, these drugs can be some drugs can be used both for what do you call, for as an injectable form or as a surface form. Lignocaine is one such example. All right, lignocaine, cocaine, and tetracaine. As you can see, it can also be used on the surface and it can be injected as well. All right, then there is insoluble agents. Those will include benzocaine and butyl amino benzoate. Okay, this is one exception where you do not have a cane. Butyl amino benzoate and uh, benzocaine. This is the basic classification of your local anesthetics. All right. Now coming to systemic actions of local anesthetics, what do they do systemically once they get inside your body? What do they do? So let me use a different color. Systemic actions of local anesthetics. Please feel free to stop me at any time if you're not understanding anything or you want me to repeat anything. All right, you can type it in as well. Now coming to systemic actions, the actions that you get systemically will depend on the plasma concentration of the drug. Depending on how much amount of drug is present, generally the most common systemic actions that you see are related to CNS, to autonomic ganglia, and to muscles. These are the three main affected ones. You will have some other effects as well, but these are the three main affected ones. To your CNS, they can cause restlessness and tremors. Okay, those will be the neurological symptoms or neurological effects of giving local anesthetics. Sometimes tremors can occur, and sometimes the patient might have restlessness. Okay, in this, what will happen is initially CNS stimulation is followed by CNS depression, and if the dose is large enough, respiratory failure can also occur. So you have to be careful. All right. Coming to CVS effects, CVS effects will be, okay, let me just brief it out so that you can refer it later. CNS effects will be restlessness, tremors, CNS stimulation, followed by that F by B is followed by CNS depression and respiratory failure. Respiratory failure. Okay, these are the CNS effects that will happen. CVS effects. Lignocaine specifically is a depressant of your heart. It will decrease the function of your heart. Bupivacaine can be cardiotoxic. Completely avoid bupivacaine and what you call lignocaine if someone has a severe heart condition. All right. On smooth muscles, so I'll write it down. Hold on. Lignocaine, cardiac depressant, and bupivacaine, cardiotoxic. Most cardiotoxic actually out of all local anesthetics. It is the most cardiotoxic. On smooth muscles, it will relax your a smooth muscle. It can also what you call relax your what you call intestinal smooth muscle, your vascular smooth muscle, and your bronchial smooth muscle. All of them will get relaxed. Okay, these drugs are relatively rapidly absorbed through your mucous membrane, and especially if abraded or eroded surface is there, in the sense that if skin is damaged because of whatever reason. Okay, it might not be bleeding, but it can be damaged. If there is skin damage, basically your worn off skin or eroded skin, through that as well, drug can get absorbed very easily and very quickly. All right, some common ADRs that you see, adverse drug reactions related to these local anesthetics will be hypersensitivity reactions. If someone is sensitive to what do you call local anesthetics specific drugs as well, it can go all the way up to anaphylaxis. Rarely, but it happens. Asthma can occur. The patient might have rashes. Dermatitis might occur, right? और क्या बोलते adrenaline. Whenever you're giving local anesthetic, you need to keep adrenaline at bay, because you never know when you're performing a surgery like this, and let's suppose you are giving an anesthetic, local anesthetic, and they immediately start having a hypersensitive reaction where I told you sometimes anaphylaxis can occur. You do not want that in a patient, so you can immediately administer adrenaline so that what you call vasodilation occurs, and you are avoiding the harsh effects of hypersensitivity. Some CNS side effects that you will see are, and these are the more important ones. Dizziness, I'll just write hypersensitivity. This can be dealt with by simply keeping what do you call sensitivity, keeping adrenaline at bay. If you are giving local anesthetic, keep adrenaline nearby. Okay, if there is a hypersensitive reaction, you can immediately administer adrenaline. CNS side effects will be dizziness, auditory and visual disturbances, and in some patients it will cause mental confusion, especially those who have some psychiatric problem. It can cause disorientation, anxiety, muscle tremors, convulsions, and respiratory failure. This one particularly in large doses. If you are giving more than normal dose, respiratory failure will occur. All right, so you have to be careful in those conditions. Now you can avoid these if you are able to give a pre-anesthetic diazepam. Okay, especially respiratory failure and most of these side effects you can avoid if you are able to give diazepam to the patient initially. After that you are giving local anesthetics. All right, in some patients what do you call some other type of ADRs are also seen. Hypertension might occur, BP might fall a little bit, because some of them, especially lignocaine, it is a cardiac depressant. The patient might have hypertension, bradycardia, and arrhythmia. Okay. All of this can occur. Arrhythmia, right? Local irritation with bupivacaine might occur in case there is someone who is hypersensitive, or someone who has a problem with bupivacaine. They can have local irritation. That's quite common. People will have small rash or that kind of thing when you are giving bupivacaine. Sometimes, not always. Now, coming to the most important part of local anesthetics that you need to know, the uses and techniques, how you are using local anesthetics. Okay, the first, yatak, I hope you guys understood this. Not a lot to understand, but a lot to memorize though. The next part that you will see, that will be more understanding type. Okay, so let me show you uses and techniques. How you use these anesthetics. So the first one, pretty much straightforward, surface anesthesia. You're basically taking the anesthetic and applying it on a surface. Okay, you're using a topical drug like some ointment, or you're using a patch, or you're using some spray, or you're using some liquid wherein you're able to spread it. Okay, you can give it anywhere wherever you're performing that particular procedure. There you're giving a surface anesthetic. Straightforward. हाँ अतुल, क्या हुआ? समझ में नहीं आ रहा या
समझ आ रही है सर, थोड़ी थोड़ी
थोड़ी थोड़ी समझ में आ रही है. Local anesthetics in general, see, one thing you need to remember about pharmacology is uh, the most important parts of pharmacology, that is the understanding parts of pharmacology, will rely on your patho and your what do you call this thing, on your anatomy. If your anatomy and physiology is good and your pathology is good, or at least you have some understanding, then the part that you have to understand in pharmacology will be very less. Most of it will be more and more memorization, more drugs, effects of drugs, this will happen, that will happen. This is only based on the condition where we are treating a patient. We already know what is normal and what is abnormal. We are merely treating in this. There is very little where you have to understand in pharmacology. A lot of pharmacology will be memorization. Okay, so you have to make sure that you do not do one day batting for pharmacology. You'll forget everything, or you'll confuse one class to the other, one drug to the other. It will go haywire. Make sure you keep studying it regularly, or else you'll forget. Okay, and the best of us, pharmacology padhte rehna padta, because it is not a subject that at least for normal people, even I have to keep on reading every time, nahi to bhul jate. There is simply so much material and there is so many things to remember. Every drug has one particular peculiarity, and for you we are not even going into detail. This is just surface level pharmacology that you are studying. So you have to keep on memorizing. There's no other way around it. Something like anatomy, you have to memorize. Uttai cha. Now coming to surface anesthetics, pretty much straightforward as I told you. The common drugs that you use in surface anesthetic is lignocaine. Lignocaine. Sometimes some people can use proparacaine. Proparacaine. Proparacaine can be used, especially for corneal anesthesia. If you are performing some eye surgery, proparacaine is used. Sometimes tetracaine can also be used. All right. Lignocaine in 2 to 10% solution and tetracaine in 2% solution. If you are able to give phenylephrine nearby, it will cause vasoconstriction and it will prolong the duration of the action of local anesthetic. Okay. Now coming to the next one, infiltration anesthesia. I will show you a video for infiltration anesthesia. It will become a little more interesting. One second. See, दिख रहा है ये?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what you do in infiltration anesthesia is, as you can see, there is a laceration or a cut basically here. Okay. I think it is a dummy. It is not an actual person. It is a dummy on which they are displaying the technique. What happens is, on that what you call laceration, about half a centimeter, 5 mm around, uske bazu, you poke the needle and you press it in, right, parallel to the laceration, parallel to the injury that you can see here. Parallel to that, you insert the needle and you start administering the drug while pulling the needle out slowly, so that the area that you are pulling out completely gets filled up with that anesthetic, and you will see slight rise in the skin. Okay, skin will slightly swell up because of the uh, medical fluid that you're injecting in, the drug that you're injecting in. You will repeat the same process on the other side. Okay, now you'll see what is happening. See, you're inserting, they are inserting a needle lateral to the wound edge. Okay, to the edge of the wound, you will insert it laterally about half a centimeter away, and you push the needle parallelly. All right, push it as far as it goes. See, here what she's doing is she's slowly trying to draw back a little bit after she has completely inserted, just to make sure that she has not inserted in a blood vessel. Okay, you do not want to inject inside a blood vessel. You want to inject in the tissues, right? यहाँ पर when you are injecting, after injection, after you're putting the needle inside, you use a slightly thicker gauge needle in this. Okay, you slightly tug it. Basically, you try to pull a little bit just to make sure that there is no blood coming in. Once you're sure about that, okay, and as you administer the drug, or as you inject the drug, you slowly keep withdrawing the needle. Okay, the skin will raise up a little bit because you have administered the drug, right? Now see, she'll do the same thing on the other side. She'll insert, push it in parallel along the wound edge, and again draw back, make sure it is not in a blood vessel, and again inject while pulling the needle out. Excuse me. Now let's suppose in this case she has injected this, right? Now if the wound is large enough where you are not able to cover the whole wound, in the sense that only a part of the wound, here the laceration is very big and she has only covered part of the wound. One second, hold on. You are not able to cover the whole wound. What you will do is you will move a little forward to the end point where you had poked. Okay, now your needle went completely inside, right? Now to the length of the needle, at the end of the length of the needle, you'll poke again and you'll do the process again. See, if the, see, she's inserting again where the needle length had ended. So you inject as long for the same length as the needle. If the wound is longer than the needle, you basically move a little forward, inject again, and repeat the procedure again. You pull again, and as you are injecting, you pull back. All right, same on the other side. All right, I'll just draw that once in case someone did not understand. Let's suppose this is the laceration. All right, and you have a needle which is around this much in length. Let's suppose the needle is this much in length. Okay, so what you do is you take a distance of laterally around 5 mm. Here you start poking. Okay, and you poke inside till the length of the needle. Let's suppose you are poking this much. Now you tug a little bit, you basically withdraw a little bit, so just to make sure that you are not inside a blood vessel. Okay, you do not want to administer drugs inside blood vessel. You basically pull the needle a little bit just to make sure no blood is coming out, and you start administering the drug. Once you see no blood, you start administering the drug while pulling the needle out. Okay, as you keep pulling the needle out, you will see that this area is swelling a little bit and it will become a little pale. You'll repeat the same process here where you are injecting and what you call initially withdraw a little bit just to make sure there is no blood coming, and you keep administering as you withdraw the needle backwards. All right, now the injury is this big, right? So only this much of area has been anesthetized. You need to anesthetize this area as well, the third area. Okay, this part you need to anesthetize. So what you do is you poke again at this point and repeat the whole process again. All right, again laterally to the edge of the wound, and you repeat the process. All right, I hope you understood what is infiltration anesthesia. That is how you perform infiltration anesthesia. The common drugs that you use for infiltration anesthesia are procaine, lignocaine, and bupivacaine. Okay. You should avoid giving around arteries as well because necrosis can occur when you are giving this near the artery. Okay. This is generally used for very small procedures for abscess drainage, for incisions, things like that. Right. Hold on. Let me take how many people are present, attendance. After that, we'll continue. Atul, Anjali, Anusha, Shanti, Ganesh. Hey, Maria came, no? When did she leave? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. I thought Maria came. Well, anyway, okay, that is the second type of anesthesia. Now, third type of anesthetic technique will be called conduction block. Okay, it is called conduction block. Conduction block in turn will have two types. All right, conduction block will have something called a field block, and it will have something called nerve block. All right, we'll discuss both of them. Now, field block kya hai? Hold on, let me show you. All right. So what you do in field block is, see, this is basically giving a field block near an abscess. They are trying to remove an abscess. Before doing that, they are giving a field block. Now see, that fellow is, you will inject at this point. See, what he did is basically he gave one diagonal injection. You basically make a square kind of shape around that abscess or around that injury. Okay, he's initially giving in one position. He is removing the needle from the hole, but normally you do not remove. Okay, you basically what you do is you withdraw the needle a little bit just so that the tip of that needle is inside the skin, and you rotate the skin 90 degrees. Okay, once you rotate the skin, you pierce again inside and you give another field. See, you give more dosage. So he'll do that again. He turns here, he didn't remove. See, this is how you do. You keep the needle in and you turn the needle. Okay, you don't keep it completely inside the skin. You will pull it out just so that the tip of the needle is inside the skin, and you rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, that is a nerve block, field block, sorry, not nerve block. So I'll just show it to you on a diagram how that looks, because you might have some confusion. Now let's suppose someone had a abscess or some injury here. Okay, and you're trying to give a field block around this. Okay, so what you do is you start off at this point. Initially it is given, actually it is given as a 4-point. In that video he only showed 2 points, so this point and this point. Okay, you can do it in 4 points like this. You can do it in 4 points, you can do it in 2 points. Either way, what you do is, let's suppose you take one injection which has the drug. Let's suppose this is the injection with the drug. You poke the injection in, you insert it inside, and you administer the anesthetic while withdrawing back. Okay, the same as your infiltration anesthesia, but you will not completely remove it out of the skin. Okay, you'll just make sure that the tip of the injection is still inside the skin. At that point, you will rotate this injection 90 degrees here. So the injection is now in this position. Okay, You will insert the injection again inside, and you will administer the injection while withdrawing it. All right. So rotate karte, फिर से अंदर press करते और inject करते, and as you are administering the anesthesia, you will keep withdrawing the needle. All right. Now it is done. This one spot is done. You repeat the same thing on this end. So you start off by this end, you poke inside, you while withdrawing you give the anesthesia, but you will not completely withdraw it out of the skin. Okay, the tip of the needle will still be inside the skin, or at least that is what you want. While keeping the tip inside, basically you do not want to create more holes in that patient's skin. Okay, you will rotate the injection a little bit like this, 90 degrees, and now the needle is this in this direction. Okay, let's suppose this is the needle. 1 second. So यहाँ से ऐसा turn करें. Now the needle is like this, and once you turn it 90 degrees, you will inject it again inside. And as you are injecting the drug, okay, initially you have to press the injection inside, press the needle inside. As you keep administering the or injecting the drug, you will keep pulling it out. Okay, finally you'll pull it out as soon as your complete drug has been administered. That will give you a field block like this. Okay, it will basically anesthetize. So if this is the wound, you'll basically see an anesthetic like this. Okay, this much area will become anesthetized. Yeah, so this much area is getting anesthetized. Right, that is a field block. I hope you understood. Basically 2 points ले रहे हैं, ये point 1 and ये point 2. You're injecting the drug inside, you're pushing the needle inside, injecting the drug while withdrawing. You don't completely withdraw the needle, you keep the tip inside the skin, you rotate it 90 degrees, again press the needle inside and administer while withdrawing. All right, you repeat the same process on point 2. Okay, so that you get a vertical field block of this sort. Okay, like this, like a box. Okay, I hope you understood this. We'll continue from nerve block day after tomorrow. All right. Chalo, ठीक है. Any doubts? Any point that you want me to repeat, or any particular doubt that you have? No?
No, sir.
All right. Chalo.